What's going on, Chazz? How you doing today?
Good of yourself.
I'm doing well. You ready to keep on talking about somebody that's very important, somebody that's crucial to both of us in our lives?
Yes, sir. I'm very, very ready to get this conversation started, and hopefully, like you said, I don't want to spoil it, but I'll go ahead and spoil it. You said you got a new camera today.
Oh yeah, you see how bright it is in here. It doesn't look like I'm in a cave anymore. So yeah, I'm working that J5. You know, it's a high definition. So don't be hating on me. Don't be hating because you got just a regular light. You know, I'm stepping up my game on you. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, you making me. I'm gonna have to start editing my little stuff too.
I hear you. Well, this broadcast can be seen every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. The gentleman you see at the bottom of the screen is Chazz, and I'm Jahi. And tonight we're going to continue to talk about something that's or someone that's very important. In fact, as you look at the bottom of the crawl, it says Marcus Garvey Lessons Part 2. We didn't finish it up last week, so we're going to finish it up today. So we want everybody to know that we appreciate you tuning in to us. This is a very important person. But Chazz, I want to just say something or ask you a question at the outset.
Okay.
Do you think many people, when they see this image, these images that we're going to be showing, do you think they really know who this person is?
I believe we discussed this last week, and I'm gonna say it again. I don't believe a lot of us do. Like I said last week, I believe a lot of us are familiar with Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, stuff like that. But this gentleman, a few, if I could do a number, a percentage-wise, out of the blacks, I would say probably 20% know who he is. The other 80% probably never seen him before.
Well, why is that though, Chazz? Before we get going, why do you think that is though?
For some reason, and it's no knock on Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. I just feel like they're more pushed in the media and people plaster their faces everywhere, and he doesn't get his just due. That's just my take. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And I also think that parents don't really get into Marcus Garvey because they don't research, and a lot of us don't study. You know, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, they were pretty recent, but Marcus Garvey, you have to go way back to 1887 when he was born, and he passed away in 1940. And we don't like to dig up our past when it comes to history. And this is why a lot of us don't know these images. But if I were to put a rapper up there or an athlete, you know, or an entertainer, we seem to know them, you know, all the time. If I put Fetty Wap, if I put Fetty Wap up here, somebody, you know, everybody's going to know who that is, or you know, but when you put up
Curry or something,
yeah, these faces that we see, and it's really an indictment on us. Although we're laughing, there's an indictment on us, Chaz, because we really ought to be ashamed of ourselves if we put up outcasts and all these people, man. They but we don't know these, and these are people that did a lot for us. As we look at his birth date, Marcus Garvey was born August the 17th, 1887. He passed away June 10th, 1940. He was a prolific leader, Chaz. He really was. And we talked about a lot of lessons from last week. So let's welcome our guests in, and then once we welcome our guests, we'll pick it up from where we left off at last week when we talk about the lessons that Marcus Garvey taught.
Okay. We got a Nuji's in the building. She fires in here and she says, "Peace and blessings, fam." We appreciate her comment. We got Sister Marie's in the building. She says, "Hotel brothers." We appreciate her comment.
Well, we thank the audience for tuning in. Marcus Garvey, I should say, was a beautiful man. He really was, Chaz. Here's another one.
Sister Barbara fires in here and she says, "Hey," we appreciate her comment as well.
Well, these are the lessons that we talked about last week that we all should know about Marcus Garvey. He was born in Jamaica. He went all over the world and he saw the oppression of blacks or Africans all over the world. And then he started a movement called the UNIA. But his whole goal was to get us all to come together as a people and fight for justice when it comes to us, not just in a state or country, but he was an international leader. And he talked about, first of all, Chaz, we dealt with this, so we just want to touch and go. But you want to talk a little bit about one of the lessons he taught us was to take pride in our African heritage. Why is that important?
To combat negative stereotypes. For example, most people on the news, when things happen, they think that we're shiftless, we're lazy, we're criminals. All we want to do is get in fights and go to jail, go to prison. And he's basically trying to teach us that if we take pride in who we are, research who we are, we're not those kind of people. And it's basically to fight off that negative concept that's put upon us that we're evil and derelicts and stuff like that. So basically to fight off that negative stereotype.
He also talked about Black unity, and I'll take this. He talked about the importance of us all over the world, not just in a certain location. He talked about us pooling our resources together, and he also did something about it. But it's hard to get us to work together today, Chaz, even on our own blocks. So this was a challenge, but yet he pulled off one of the amazing feats in the world. He had over 6 million followers, and that was
Wow.
before the advent of social media. So
Wow.
this man really galvanized people, and we're going to see what happened to him at the end, which was very tragic and sad. But this was a beautiful leader. Here's another one I want you to talk about as we move forward to today's lesson.
Lesson 3, economic self-sufficiency. This was to empower Black communities and to achieve true independence, both politically and socially, by controlling their own wealth and resources. And that's basically meaning that he wanted us to unite and get together so that we didn't have to worry about the white man controlling things, screwing us over, doing us dirty, because we were already getting done wrong at the time. So he was trying to fight that out. So basically, that was why he believed that Blacks should have their own self-sufficiency.
Lesson 4, he taught about racial uplift. Before we got into the Black is Beautiful, which we'll talk about later on, but he also taught us that we should be proud of who we are. We shouldn't put each other down. We should love our features. We should make those positive. He wanted us to show dignity, respect, and we've lost that now, Chaz, because a lot of us, we don't love who we see in the mirror. We're always looking for something, and we're looking for someone, but he was telling us that it all boils down to loving who you are in spite of what other people called us or said about us, that we were really a great people.
And I was going to add real quick to that, to also to empower Black people, to inspire them, and to also promote self-determination.
Yeah.
This message was aimed to reverse racism. So basically, as we all know, Blacks were looked at as low and dirty and rotten and low down and stuff like that. And he was trying to give a positive word. Because think about that. When you got millions of people looked at as, low down and scums of the earth, that would take a toll on anybody. If I hear that everywhere I go, if I see that all over the news and newspapers, I would feel some kind of way about myself, and I would start to believe it. So he was basically trying to fight back against that, to say we're not like that, and try to empower the people. Number 5, self-reliance. He felt like it would be essential for achieving both economic and political freedom. He also argued that self-reliance would allow African Americans to control their own destinies and establish their strong future. Now, that's one thing that we can still use to today. You don't want to be reliant on anybody else, because I'm telling you, when you rely on other people, they can change their mind. They can really, really just, flip on you at the drop of a dime. And he's saying that if we have our own reliance, our own power, we don't have to worry about that. We want a brighter future, so our young ones is coming up behind us, that they're not, in the streets, bums, begging. We want to make sure that they're set for life as well.
Yeah, and we always rely on other people, but Marcus Garvey taught us that we should rely on ourselves. We shouldn't have to rely on people to do everything for us. If you think about us even today, everyone, they dress us, they feed us, they clothe us, they do everything to us. And he was saying that we shouldn't be relying on people for everything that we do and everything that we need to do. We should have some type of self-reliance, and that message still rings out today.
Lesson 6, the power of education. He saw education as a key tool for achieving self-determination. So of course, self-determination means doing it yourself. You putting in the work, you putting in the willpower. Like I said, instead of holding some white man's certificate, which is nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, if that's what you want to do it. But he wanted us to get it on our own, once again, instead of relying on others to do it for us.
Yeah, and he talked about the real education. It's power in real education, not a Eurocentric education, but an Afrocentered education, because it teaches us lessons, all the things that our ancestors had gone through. He didn't look at history just to be looking at dates. He looked at it to see what can we learn to apply to ourselves. And that's what proper education is, bringing out what's already in us to solve our problems, because we have many, many problems. And this man was a prolific teacher. He was a great leader. And Chaz, I keep going back to, I don't know why the just due that he should be getting, he doesn't seem to get in our modern day, because it just seems like we have kicked all of these beautiful lessons that he taught us to the curb. Take it away.
Lesson 7, Black is beautiful. It was crucial for African Americans to embrace their racial identity and self worth because once again, Black was looked at as ugly, cruddy, dirty, low down, nasty. This something, everything that you don't want to be, basically. And he was teaching us, have pride in yourself. So what your hair may be what they call nappy, or so what you may have big lips, or big ears, or big nose. He was trying to teach that to give us some self worth, some self esteem, because once again, all these features back then were looking, even to this day,
Yes,
are
sir.
still looked down upon.
And our children could benefit from this right now, Chaz. Our children still don't think that Black is beautiful. They still look down on themselves. They want to be other people. They want to bleach their skin. They want to look like Europeans. They want to get machines where they can sleep in for years to try to stay young and look like other people. And I think before that movement of Black is beautiful came in the United States, Marcus Garvey was saying that a long time ago. And it's unfortunate that we have stooped to such a low level now that we don't even want to hear this slogan. We don't care about this slogan. We want to throw it out of the window because most of us, our minds are so infiltrated with a Eurocentric indoctrination that we don't want to talk about the importance of loving who we are for who we are.
Lesson 8, Pan-Africanism. He felt like this is for, political liberation, economic empowerment, Black pride, and self-respect. These are all what you call factors that were in Pan-Africanism, and this is why he basically believed in that.
Yeah, Marcus Garvey was building a nation. Will you people listen to us tonight? Will you just listen to us, please? Because here was a man that he was building a nation, and that's what our problem is now. We don't have nation building. We don't have nation thinking. He wasn't just trying to make people feel good. Marcus Garvey was trying to build a nation because that's where everything is. It's in nationhood. If you don't have a nation, presidents, if you don't have nations, that's why he put on these lavish parades. We had pictures and images last week of how he put on parades all over in New York and different places, and there was a pageantry. He was showing some beautiful things that we have seemed to have forgotten, and those parades were psychological empowerment. He wanted us to see that we have to love our culture. We must love our unity, and we must have a new type of mindset. And I'm telling you, man, I love this man because this man here was a leader, unlike many other leaders, but at the same time, Marcus Garvey was a beautiful man. And all those lessons from lesson 1 to lesson 8, Chazz and I, we kind of jumped over them real quick because we talked about them last week in detail. So today we'll pick it up to where we're starting off at today. So Chazz, you can start your thing and we'll dive into it now.
Lesson 9, organization is power. Marcus Garvey showed how effective large-scale organizations could be with the success of UNIA, which had millions of members worldwide. Now, I'm just going to discuss some of the countries that were dominated by this. Some of these countries were, of course, the United States of America, Canada, Africa, India, Australia. All these countries this man dominated. Look at all those dots that he did. I mean, and this was, of course, him doing all this, and this is something that gets looked over. I don't think many of us knew, and I'm not even going to lie myself. I didn't even know that this man had that much power to, establish all this in all these countries.
Yeah, this was a world leader. He's talking about organization. As you can see on this chart, we're not just talking. That's why I like doing broadcasts with you. I know sometimes I tease you, say I don't like to do broadcasts with you, but I like to do broadcasts with you because we're showing data, Chazz. Who can argue with data? Look at all these dots he had in Africa. These were headquarters that he had set up on the East Coast, on the West Coast, in South America, in Chile, in all these places. And he was trying to get it to be a worldwide movement. But unfortunately, it fell short. But at the same time, if you look at this map, this ought to let you see that this man was not a joke. This man was serious, and this man had power. He had pull. He also had some boats, or actually ships, I should say, called the Black Star Line. But we have a couple of comments, Chaz, but I had to put that up so people can see that. And again, we'll go to it when we have to. But let's see what we have people talking about here.
And I was going to say real quick before I get to these comments, when I did the research, they said this brother had dominated a total of 40 countries. That is a lot, man. 40 countries he dominated. But I do appreciate Brother Ray for stepping in here tonight. He says, Black love and Black respect, united into Black power. And then Brother Ray also fires in here, and he says Marcus Garvey was a Black nationalist.
Yes, he sure was. He definitely was.
He also says Marcus Garvey displayed the advantage of our own freight industry in the U.S.
Of maritime
to our advantage.
Yeah, and this is what he's talking about. This is what Brother Raymond is talking about. Marcus Garvey had some ships. They were called the Black Star Line. That was the name of them. But this is just this is one. And this is back in the day. So the of course the picture is outdated. But look at this. These were all Black people that he wanted to do business with us. He wanted to go all over the world. He wanted to do trade. This was phenomenal for that time, and that's why I'm excited, because here was a man who was way before his time. He wanted our own ships. He wanted us to do our own trading. He wanted us to have our own stocks. And these are the things that makes a leader great to me, especially internationally, when you talk about being able to compete with a society that was racist, a society that was sexist, a society that didn't care for us. This is just one of the ships that he had. Here's another ship that he had. You know, and Marcus Garvey was just a beautiful man when you look at that. And people that's watching this, we ought to be enthralled. You know, we ought to be fascinated that this happened. And if we didn't know about it, we should be excited to know now that this man here was a genius when it comes to his knowledge of trying to pull people together that look like us to help us.
Brother Ray also fires in here. He says the use of maritime, sorry about that. It's all good, Brother Ray. We know what you meant. It's all good.
So yeah, Chazz, these points that we're showing today, these are beautiful points, man, because Marcus Garvey did something that a lot of people didn't do. And as we said on here, he knew that organization was power. And this is why it's important that we work together. He showed off how high effective large-scale organizations could be in the success of the UNIA, which had at least 6 million members back in the early 1900s. 6 million members before Facebook, before YouTube, before Snapchat, before Instagram. 6 million. But now, Chazz, let's turn the tables and let's see how things went south of the border, because after that, some things started to happen to get rid of Brother Marcus Garvey. And let's begin to talk about the major struggles that Marcus Garvey encountered. I'll put them on the screen, and I know you're going to take it away, because this happens all the time. Here we go.
Okay. Marcus Garvey, some of the struggles that he faced. Marcus Garvey faced strong criticism from prominent African-American intellectuals like W.E.B. Du Bois and Philip Randolph. He also had, for number two, he had conflict with the United States government.
Let's take them one at a time, Chazz, because you're going on and on. This is why I like doing this show with you. And I know I just said I did, but now this is why I don't like doing the show with you, because we can't go over it. We got to take these one at a time, Chazz, because whenever you do something, it seems like our story is always the same. Here was a great man, had a great vision, but it says he had opposition from other Black leaders. He faced strong criticism from prominent African-American intellectuals like W.E.B. Du Bois and A. Philip Randolph. So here you have other African-Americans coming down on this brother, and it seems like every time we try to do something, there's somebody that looks like us that always attack us. I think about Nat Turner. I think about Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. It's always
Fred Hampton.
Yes, infiltrators that come in. And so, that's something that we have to look at. And it's still the same today, but this is when the downfall of Marcus Garvey came, because of these different numbers that we're talking about. You could take number two now.
Okay. And I'm going to be, if you see me reading to the side, that's because on my phone they're a little bit bigger. Just give me 1 second here. Number two, he had conflict with the United States government. He struck J. Edgar Hoover, the first director of the CIA and the FBI, saw Marcus Garvey as a threat to the national order. You say you wanted to take these one by one.
Because J. Edgar Hoover, he also destroyed, he wanted to destroy the Black Panther Party for self-defense movement. He wanted to destroy the civil rights. He wanted to destroy Martin Luther King. He wanted to destroy Malcolm X, and he was successful in a lot of things of that nature. He was the first FBI agent that he did these things. And he also hired a black man named James Wormley Jones, who was an infiltrator, and he got inside of this UNIA, and it began to crumble because the CIA and the FBI, they saw Marcus Garvey as a threat to the national order, as you said, and then that's when it happened. Number three,
he had internal conflict with the UNIA. Struggle as the UNIA grew, mismanagement and corruption became issues. Some leaders within the UNIA misused funds or disagreed with Marcus Garvey's decisions. Now, I could attest to that because that even happens to this day. You give somebody, most of the time, if a man or a woman has a whole bunch of money, you say, okay, I need you to take care of my account. This is all this money. I need you to do this, this, and that. Most of the time, these people cannot do what they're supposed to do. They misuse those funds. They go on trips. They go on allowed shopping sprees, buying all this nonsense and foolishness. And these people just go buck wild. And this sounds like, now I don't know about that in this era, but it's the same concept that they misused this man's money and they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
The ships were not even seaworthy after a while. They stopped fixing the ships. They had to put the ships down, and they lost a lot of money because those ships cost a lot of money. And it's just sad. As we continue to talk, the story gets more dimmer because it's terrible. And look at number 4, Chazz, and this is your pet peeve right here.
All right. Number 4, media and public ridicule. Marcus Garvey was mocked by both black and white media. Newspapers ridiculed his appearance and ideas, portraying him as unrealistic or dangerous. See, that's the thing. When people don't understand your philosophy or they see you fighting back, of course they're going to call you an extremist. Of course they're going to call you names because they fear what they don't understand is what they say. And then also making fun of his appearance. I mean, come on now. That's just petty. That's immature. That's childish. But that's the way people are. I'm pretty sure they're calling them the N-word, all kind of low-down names. But you still have to have perseverance and to be strong to fight through that. And I just hate the fact, like you said, to mock the man's appearance. I mean, come on now. I mean, that's just petty and immature on their part.
Yeah, and for white people to do it, I can see why they would want to do it because they don't want to release the power that they had. He was trying to get a part of it, a piece of it. But for his own people to do that, and that's one of the problems we have even to this day. A lot of people, Chazz, and I'm going to tell you a secret that you probably already know. They talk about all this Afrocentrism. We talk about all this black power, black pride. We talk about all this educating our own children. We talk about all this pulling our resources together. We talk about all this unity. But Chazz, behind our backs, you have a lot of Uncle Toms. You have a lot of gorillas. You have a lot of black people who aren't interested. They're not interested in the progress of our people. They want you to think they are, but they're not. And that's sad, and that's two-faced, that's hypocritical. They're not interested in learning, Chazz. They won't even pick up a book. They won't even pick up anything that's positive about Marcus Garvey until a certain day comes, and then they want to be Afrocentric for that day. Then after that day, they go back to being the same old bums that they were before they started. So what we have, Chazz, we have people who are sick, man. We got a lot of sick people, and Marcus Garvey didn't have to go out like this. Go ahead, Chazz, number 5.
Number 5. Economic failure of the Black Star Line. The Black Star Line meant to support black trade and transportation to Africa. He suffered mechanical issues, poor investment, and fraud accusations. I'll let you finish that off.
Yeah, and after that, what they did was, Chazz, basically, Marcus Garvey was sent to prison. He was put in prison, man. And it was a lot of people that had a lot to do with that. He spent approximately 2 years in prison. They gave him a 5-year sentence in 1923. They got him on mail fraud, but he only served 2 years. And when he got out of prison, they sent him back to Jamaica. And then he went back to London where he passed away. He had a couple of strokes in 1939 and 1940. And this is where he died. And I am so upset right now with the way it ended because many of us today are in the same situation. We're not interested in growth. We're just interested in ourselves and our families and our own little problems that we have. We don't want to make sure that our people are being better. We don't look at podcasts that's positive. We don't listen to music that's uplifting. We don't talk to people in a positive way. We are a miserable people. Many of us are, not all of us, but it's a shame that Marcus Garvey went out like this. because we had a lot to do with that, Chazz, and it's just sad, man. It really is. It's sad.
Yeah, it really is. Wow, that's just heartbreaking. To hear, like you said, he had 2 strokes. That's terrible, man. Brother Ray Fires in here. He says W.E.B. Du Bois helped the FBI take down Marcus Garvey and Booker T. Washington.
Yeah, we talked about all that, Chazz. He's right. I mean, this is not a secret. Although, and listen to this, in their own right, W.E.B. Du Bois, Booker T. Washington, Marcus Garvey, they all had their own agenda, which was to try to help us. My issue with that is that they went against a man that had a great plan. So again, then this is how many of us are, Chazz. You know, we do not agree with how we do things, but we're not interested in helping each other. We're snitches as well. You know, we don't want to see a black man in power. So, you know, he's right. He says W.E.B. Du Bois felt he should be the only black leader because on him graduating from a prestige college. I don't know about all of that, but even if that is something, he was wrong for what he did. The part that he played, W.E.B. Du Bois was wrong in what he did. And a lot of times we don't like to call leaders out when they are wrong, but we have to tell the truth. And I'll read his last quote and we'll get back into it. The American people, black people, he says in America, betrayed him for Marcus Garvey, trying to help to get the KKK to support his Back to Africa movement. Yes, there's always betrayal when you have a positive leader. And it's just a shame that we have to end up talking about this type of thing. But back to what Marcus Garvey really wanted, Chazz, and here's what he really wanted.
Lesson 10, political independence. Marcus Garvey believed African Americans should form their own political agendas and not follow the mainstream political parties. Let me see, because I'm looking down. I had this on my
notes. And I'll take it. I'll start saying something about that, because if you look at just reading that, we know that we should have our own agenda. See, this is why even today in politics, they put agenda together and we follow it. So we argue over their agenda, but we don't have an agenda. That's why a lot of times we complain when it comes to politics and we don't want to be a part of it. We don't even have an agenda, man. In other words, what do we want? What do we want? The people in the 70s and the 60s, especially when you talk about the Black Panther Party, they had an agenda. You know, Malcolm X, the Nation of Islam, they had an agenda. You know, Martin Luther King, whether you agree with him or not, he had an agenda. We don't have an agenda today. Political independence is what they had. And that's what makes strong leadership. And that's why this next one you can talk about if you want to just read it and tell me a few things about this.
Number 11, strong leadership. Marcus Garvey stressed the need for bold, intelligent, and moral leadership within the Black community. He did that so that we can take control of our own destinies and build our own communities and institutions. And of course, because once again, back in that time, people looked at, and they still do to this day, think that blacks ignorant, dumb, shiftless, don't know nothing. They can't really read that well, things like that. And he also taught that to fight back against that whole narrative, to say that we are strong, we are intelligent, we do have strength in numbers, and basically to fight back against those negative criticisms that were against us.
And when you look at these words, Chazz, let's be honest. It's one of the lessons that Marcus Garvey taught us, that if we're going to be successful, we need to have strong leadership. Now, Marcus Garvey stressed the need for bold. A lot of us we are scared, man. We're like scary cats. Behind closed doors, we talk really loud. This is what the system is doing. This is what we ought to do. And when you put a microphone or a camera in front of us, we're quiet as a church mouse. We don't like to say much. We need intelligence, man. Marcus Garvey was for moral leadership within the Black community. Look at our communities right now, Chazz. Wow. Not just in the same city. Look at our communities all over the world. And we're sitting around in our houses on cell phones. We have no comments to make because we're all guilty. You're guilty. I'm guilty. All of us are guilty. Listen, we haven't had a movement like this since 1887 to 1940. All the other movements fell short because they were not international. So that's a strike on us, Chazz. We're afraid, man. We don't like to tell the truth when people ask us questions. We're just like little bitty kids who talk loud when they're around other kids, but when the bully comes around, they don't want to say anything. And this is a problem. But when we go to church, we want to swing from the chandeliers, talk loud and scream. when we go to these spiritual meetings, we want to say all those magical words. See, you know that nobody's going to challenge you on that. But yet, when we really have to put up or shut up, we find out who we really are, man.
Number 12, resistance to oppression. Marcus Garvey encouraged resistance to white supremacy through mental liberation, cultural pride, and self-determination. I'll let you take that one, then I'll piggyback off of it.
Yeah, because Chazz, look at the words. We should resist to oppression, but many of us, we give in to it. In other words, we want people to feed us. We want people to clothe us. We want to look to other people for our economic survival. We want those people who are in the supremacy in that type of setting. We look to them. We don't want to be liberated mentally. We don't want to educate our children. We don't want to make our own clothes. We don't want, and I know financially it's in hard times, so I will be fair. It is difficult times right now. But Chazz, you mean to tell me we don't have any type of cultural pride? We're not proud of who we are as a people. We want to be like somebody else. We need other people to determine for us. You can cut me off and get in there because this is important, man. Let's talk about this.
I was just going to say that I think the media, and I hate saying this, I think the media and the news, a lot of them in these movies that we've seen throughout the years have done a good, and I hate saying this, brother, it pains me to say this, but they've done a good job at brainwashing us. Like you said, that we don't want to do for ourselves. We look to them. We always are looking to them. And my whole thing is that when they've brainwashed us, I think they brainwashed us so deep and so bad that we're not going to be able to recover from it.
Exactly. Look at our children, man. That's an indication. All you got to do is look at our children. Our children are, many of them, not all of them. Our children are the most misguided, man, in the world. Most misguided. They look to other people. They want to be like other people. They want to be with other people. They don't want to be with themselves. They don't want to be by themselves. They don't want to grow. They don't want to learn. We are the ones who are at fault. But Marcus Garvey encouraged resistance. He said, resist this stuff. Through what? Mental liberation. That means that our minds have to be right. This is why there's so much stupidity going on today. It is. And like Ray said, he says he agreed that the Democrats and the Republicans have failed everyone. It's true. And ain't no sense of us acting like it's not true. Marcus Garvey was a man that was so beyond his time, and yet we don't even respect him today, Chazz. And that's the problem that I have with us as a society. We don't even look at his teachings and try to duplicate them so we can be in better positions. But it's just sad, man.
Sister Barbara Fries in here. She says, it's really sad that we don't have any minorities in power today for us as a people to stay in power while controlling in their own past leaders in their path. Yeah, it is a crying shame. And in fact, some of the people that we so-called have empowered, I think that they're the wrong type of leaders. So it's a crying shame, as the sister is basically paraphrasing to say. And I don't know if we'll ever get anybody, like I said, like Marcus Garvey or anybody like that. It's a crying shame, like the sister said. And then Brother Ray fires behind her. He says, we're too intelligent for a one leader function. Take out the leader and kill the movement. Wow. And then he also fires here again. He says the Black Liberation Movement was global. Yeah, but see the problem. Okay, and I'll read this and I'll get back to it. He says too many black folks are not trying to destroy systematic racism. Most black folks want a better position in their racist system. Now, like this brother was saying about how that movement spread worldwide, my whole issue with it, and I hate to always look under the bed or look over my shoulder, always looking under the blinds or looking under the curtain. I always feel like in all these movements, we can never do it successfully because there's always going to be somebody that's an agent or a spy that's coming in to derail or destroy this movement. And that's one thing I hate about these things, that we can never do it clean. There's always somebody in there that's trying to destroy the movement.
And if we really look at what's going on today, Chazz, if we could just look at what's really going on, we will see that we have some serious issues as a people. And too many times we sit back and we complain about things, but we don't want to do anything about it. It's like we're in a situation now as a people where what's going on in politics and government today, it's affecting all of us. It's affecting our grandparents, our great-grandparents. It's affecting our children. It's affecting us. But we want to sit around and just talk about it. We don't want to come together, as Ray said, not just one person, but a group of people, as many people as we have, It's like we've given in to this thing to the degree that, like you said, that we're comfortable now. We're comfortable in oppression. We're okay with being oppressed. We're okay with getting our teeth kicked in. We don't want to work together. Chaz, all we want to do is to be left alone. And I hate to say that, but that's what it is. We want to all go to our little places, whether it's an apartment or a house, and we don't want to be bothered. We don't want to be bothered. And when people come to us with issues that instead of trying to solve them, work together, we don't want to put together anything. We just have gotten to a point as a group of people where we like to complain about the situation, and we should, but we don't like to do anything about what we're complaining about.
Wow. Yeah, that's well said. Brother Ray fires in here. He says, actually, they had a world war on the Black liberation movement. We were that close to a liberation breakthrough.
And it's always that way. It's always going to be a war on the Black liberation movement. It's always going to be a war on African Americans. It's always going to be a war on people who look like us in the United States who've been dealt a bad hand. It's always going to be someone that's going to try to stop us. But we still should be trying to do something. We have grandchildren. We have children that's going to suffer because people like us will sit around and look at screens and say things, but we're not interested. We don't pull our resources together. We don't support one another. And this is one of the things that Marcus Garvey knew. And a lot of us don't have a stomach for this, Chaz. If you and I were on here talking about rappers or downing Black women or talking about other Black men or being negative, we would have about 1 million views. But here we are teaching about one of the greatest leaders to ever have lived. And we can't get but 5 people. And I know your take on that. Even if it's 5, that's fine. And I'm okay with that. But I'm just showing you, we don't have an appetite for teaching, man. We don't have an appetite for learning about our culture unless it's a certain so-called holiday. Our children are suffering, and all we want to do is take pictures and shoot those pictures, Photoshop them, and put them on Facebook so people can think we look cute.
I was getting ready to get to you on the comment that you made about, like you said, that you don't get that many views. And like I said, I'm always under the mindset that you know me well. Even if it's only 2, if it's 1, as long as we got to that 2 people or we got to that 1 person, that's all that matters. Just like you said, we're not going to be able to save the world. We're not going to be able to get this to all 50 states. As long as we get a couple people, that's all I'm concerned about. But I do get your point, though, brother. Number 13, leaving a legacy. Marcus Garvey taught that individuals should live in a way that contributes to the advancement of future generations.
Wow, that's good. That's something that I gotta say something about, Chaz. Okay. And if we just read this on the screen, I'm talking about all of us. If we would just read this and let that just soak in our hearts, this is a lot right here. It says one of the lessons Marcus Garvey taught us was that we should be leaving a legacy. He taught us that individuals, he's talking to all of us, we should live in such a way that contributes to the advancement of future generations. In other words, when we leave this earth, when we close our eyes, we should have left something that the children coming behind us can gravitate to and move forward so that they will be in a better position. And I hate to say this, Chaz, and I gotta be honest, because a lot of us like to sugarcoat this stuff. Okay. We are leaving our children nothing because many of us are too afraid to talk about the truth. And a lot of us don't know the truth and we don't want to know the truth. And this is why I used to have a lot of friends, Chaz. I don't have many friends and I'm okay with that. Because when you get a person that says they're your friend and you start talking like this, then they don't want to be around you, Chaz. But if you're talking about Offset and you're talking about all these rappers, you're talking about what's her name? You're talking about Jay-Z and you're talking about P. Diddy. When you get that going, you got a lot of friends, see? Or you talking about soap operas, talking about sports, talking about food. When you talk about food, if we had a cooking show, man, this would be one of the hottest shows in the world. But because we're not talking about that, our appetite, our children should be watching this, even though our show is called Adults Only. Children can learn these lessons about Marcus Garvey, and the parents should be teaching these lessons. But because we don't have an appetite for it, Chaz, and that's the indictment that we have. So the question is, what are we leaving our future generations? What are we leaving them?
And I hate to say this too, even though it has to do with money. I hate saying this, but it is true. The white man and the white woman, and you could do the studies on this, most of them who are financially set, they've done a good job at leaving at a lot of money for their kids when they die and stuff like that. That's one thing I will give them. But like you said, with the black community, and it's not that I hate the blacks, because I'm a black man myself, and I want to make this clear. I don't hate the black races. I know some may say, oh, they down on us. I love my people. I'm just saying, as well as you are saying as well, we're for the adults, we're not doing a good job of leaving anything behind, except for, like you said, some videos of us acting stupid at parties, falling over, drunk, staggering, can't get, stuff like that. So it's just bad. It's a bad spot that we're in, brother.
Yeah, and we're not trying, the wealth that they stole from us, we're not trying to get that wealth back. And it's hard. I know it is, because it's really calcitrated. It's where it's so tough. But trying to talk to us, man, sometimes is very difficult. See, we like to talk about love. We like to talk about music. Those things are okay, Chazz. So don't get me wrong. Those things are okay in and of themselves. But yet, when it comes to talking about a great leader like this man that you see on the screen, when you talk about a person who transformed the mindset of a million people who were going in the right direction, we can't go back and take that and move it to another step, because we're not interested in teaching, man. Because everybody thinks they know everything. And when you become an adult, it's hard, because at that point, we shut off from everybody because we don't want to be bothered. And I'll go to my grave saying this. Okay. Our problem in America right now is we fought when we didn't have. Now, many of us have been pacified. These millionaires that we have, they've been pacified. And a lot of us, like Ray said, we're trying to be a part of the system. So therefore, we're sitting back, hoping one day, praying one day that we hit the lottery, which will never do. And so what happens is there's no serious discussion. Men and women, I wish you could hear some of our discussions. It's not about Marcus Garvey. It's not about people sojourner truth. It's not about liberation, man. It's about mess, man. It's about mess. It's about nonsense. It's complaining. It's about family. It's about health failing us. It's about all of this stuff, man. But it's not about what it should be about. And that's why we're in the condition that we're in, man. And it's sad but we got to talk this way.
Brother Ray Fires in here. He says, yes, we are cooperating in a systemic racist system. We got to see what we're doing to support the racist system. Stop cooperation. Racists need black cooperation for racism to exist. Can't enslave people who are afraid to die, then be a slave. He is spot on, and I'll take it a step further. Like we said, with our African Americans, if we were to get together, and I know this is easier said than done, and I don't think this will happen, but just for example, we say, you know what, we're sick of supporting them. All these and I'm not knocking the sisters, but all these sisters and stuff who go to these beauty supply stores for their eyelashes and stuff like that, quit spending at these white and Jap and Indian stores, and let's go ahead and spend at blacks only. That will put a dent in their pockets, as this brother was saying. But I don't think we will do that, because we'll be complaining about the stores that the black man or the black woman has. It costs too much. They're out of their minds. Nobody's going to pay $10 for some eyelashes and stuff like that. So, but that kind of contributes to what Brother Ray was saying, that if we can put a dent in their pockets and quit cooperating with them, maybe they'll listen. But I hate to say it, Brother Ray, most of us, I think we're too far gone for us to stop. We love cooperating with the white people.
Marcus Garvey, man, was a genius. Marcus Garvey taught about a lot of subjects, but that pride was beautiful that he taught. He taught about how we should not just feel good about ourselves, but we should know who we are. We should know our culture. We should know our identity. We should know our history. We should know our self-worth. We should have dignity, man. We should hold ourselves up with self-respect, because we've lost respect for each other nowadays. We've lost honor for one another. And this is why Brother Kevin and I did a broadcast yesterday on honoring the black woman. You know, we don't like to talk about the black woman in a positive light. But if we were calling her bees and all of this and calling her gold diggers and all that, people would chime in, because our minds have been so infiltrated now. We don't want this kind of language, man, you see. We want that softball. We don't want that fastball. We don't want that hardball. We want that underhand, so slow pitch where somebody can knock it out the park, figuratively speaking, you see. And we don't even like people like you and I because they start talking about us personally when they're not listening to what we're saying. And they know what we're saying is true. They know it. And so people don't want to hear it. We're in the belly of the beast, Chazz. We're in the belly of the beast, man. And it's a situation where it's sad. But Marcus Garvey, he did everything he could. He died, man. He had 2 strokes, 1939 and 1940, and he died. He couldn't even go back to Jamaica when he was released from prison. They sent him to Jamaica at first, but then he had to go to London, England, because he wanted to stay close with the base of his UNIA. And he ended up dying in London, England. He had 2 strokes. And I know that some of that probably was stress and pressure that he had after all these years. And why can't we sit up as a people and talk about the beauty of a man that gave so much to us? But yet, if this was Steve Harvey, we would sit here and I'm no knock on Steve Harvey. I always bring him up because I love him. But if this was Steve Harvey, we would just be so infatuated and enthralled because we like Kevin Hart and all these guys. You know, we like these guys and these women, and they okay to like. But we've gone overhill, man, and there's no turning back. And that's the demise of us as a people, and we don't want to hear it, Chazz. That's why we go to church. That's why we go to these places, because we want to hear something to make us feel good. You and I, this is not a feel-good message. This is reality. This is facts. This is saying we got to do something. Nobody want to be told that, and nobody want to listen to that. So we just want to lie in our little beds of comfortability and leave this world, leaving nothing, as Marcus Garvey said, as a legacy.
Wow. Yeah.
We're out of notes. We're out of notes, so we could just talk now. We normally don't end. Oh, yeah, here's what I want to say. Next week, for all of you that's going to watch this broadcast, please tell someone to watch it, because we're going to do a broadcast, and Chazz and I have discussed this, but we're going to entitle it Forever Young. You say, what does that mean? A lot of us don't like to get old, and we do things when we get old because we're afraid of some things. And we're going to tell you why a lot of us don't like to talk about death, or a lot of us don't want to leave this earth. Although we know we are going to leave this earth, we're going to look at something that's going to shock you, but it's the truth about us, because many of us, when we age, things start to happen. So we try to turn back the hands of time. I remember there was a song when I grew up by Tyrone Davis. It was called If I Could Turn Back the Hands of Time. Well, you're not going to turn back the hands of time, okay? The time is going to keep going, but we do things like dye our hair, get skin pulled back, work out, We're going to talk about why don't we want to be who we are, Chazz? And maybe you can give us some insight now, just a little bit, but Chazz, just without notes, why is it that we don't want to get old, Chazz? Well, what in your mind? We're going to talk more about it at length next week, but why is it that we don't want to get old?
Because normally when we get older, people start to tease us, especially if for our skin, our hair color, and plus the media, brother. The media has basically taught us stay young forever. And here's no knock. Here's no knock. Now, I don't have the funds that this sister has, but you take a woman like Jennifer Lopez. You can tell that she's taking something, because throughout the years, you're supposed to age. You're supposed to look like you're getting a little bit older. She's not. No knock on the sister. My point is, that's what we want to do. All of us. We want to keep taking these pills. We want to keep drinking all this stuff. And the thing is, you're going to get old. And there's nothing wrong with that.
She didn't drink from the fountain of youth.
No, brother. You can tell. When you have millions and millions of dollars like her, some of these people, you can tell that she's taking. Now, I don't know what exactly, but you could just look at her and tell from the time she's been in the industry all the way up to now, this woman still looks perfectly the same, no aging. In fact, some say she looks better now than she did then. So
come on, Chad.
No, I'm just saying, you just know that these people are taking things, and that's what we want to do. And let me be clear, there's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself, exercising, things like that. But I do believe that because of the media, they taught us old is ugly, old is raggedy, and all these movies and magazines and articles that they wrote basically have taught us to stay young forever. Here's the thing. You can't do it. Eventually, you're gonna get old. But I'm looking forward. Let me ask you this, brother. What's your take on why we don't want to get old?
I got one word, and I'm gonna give you the word now, but I promise you we'll get back to Marcus Garvey because we have 10 minutes, but I want to let the cat out the bag tonight. So for those who show up next week, you're gonna say, Jahi told me already how he feels. And I'm telling you, this one word right here says it all. You don't have to agree with it, but here's the word: death. You know you're gonna die soon when you get older, and you are afraid to die. So you want to do everything you can to fool yourself to think that you're gonna be here forever. I want to develop that more next week. I got to develop it a lot more because that's what it boils down to. You know, the time, the clock is ticking. It's almost at 12, and you see it, and you know it is. And so what you want to do is you want to slow it down as much as you can. You ain't gonna slow it down, but that's what it is, though. Brother Raymond said something that was foolish. It's funny. He said this.
Brother says the fountain of youth is the truth. And here's the thing, and I'm gonna just elaborate real quick on this comment. Like I said. And I'll read this comment before I say real quick. The thing is, there's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself. I say, because some people look at this and say they must be down on us, dyeing our hair. No, we're not. We're not down on you. But the thing is, you have to do it naturally. You're gonna get older. You're gonna get old, and things are gonna happen. So just let it happen. You can't be like this forever. I'll read Brother Ray's comment. He says, "We have energy. Death is an illusion. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. Energy can only transform." And then he also said, "Getting old is not much fun as youth is." Yeah, I know those aching bones in your back and your neck. I get all that, Brother Ray. I get that.
But the reality is, Marcus Garvey understood he was going to get older. And so as he got older, he kept working on helping us with self-reliance, creating our own business, talking about learning the importance of education. So he didn't shrink. But because of the age and advent of social media, we have taken a pill, man. And I know we might have seen Matrix, but we've taken that pill, man. and I'm serious, man. That pill has destroyed many of us because we don't live in, we're not living in reality. We live in a fantasy world. When we look in the mirror at ourselves, we don't see who we really are. We see someone else. Marcus Garvey, Ella Baker, Fannie Lou Hamer, Malcolm X, all of them. When they looked in the mirror, they saw who they were, man. And they saw our people's condition. And they said, we've got to do something. Nat Turner, we can go on and on. Fred Hampton, we can go on and on. Elijah Muhammad, we could just talk till the cows come home. They looked in the mirror at themselves and they said, our people are destitute. Our people are struggling. But when we look in the mirror at ourselves, we see somebody fine. We popping. we want to put on clothes. We don't care about the people. You see, and that's the problem. We don't see ourselves for who we are. We always want to be the next whatever, the next big thing. And it's like the reality is, our youth, man, are destroying themselves. We did a broadcast on youth suicide, but if you give a youth pride, like Marcus Garvey, if you give a youth dignity, you give a youth self-respect, if you give a youth support, maybe our youth won't try to take their lives the way they're doing so, because we play too much. Men and women, we call ourselves going together, courting. We don't like to talk about these kinds of things, Chazz. I keep telling you this. We rather talk about something to get us off of what's really going on. And what's really going on is, why are you taking all that medicine? Why am I taking all this medicine? Because we're not taking care of ourselves. And I don't know Marcus Garvey's physical situation. I know he had a stroke, but the point of what is going on is the man died of 2 strokes back to back, man. And he left this world. And for the most part, I'd like to think that those strokes had to do with him concerned about us as a people, man. Not trying to go get some dye to dye his hair to look like somebody else. See, and we're mixing this tonight, but people, and this is why people don't want to hear this, man. They don't want to hear it.
Brother Ray fires in here. He says Booker T. Washington is the father of black
separatism.
I'm sorry.
But yeah. Chazz, I want you to speak to, we still have a little time, and I'm glad we don't have any notes that we can put up on the screen, but I want you to just speak to Marcus Garvey as to what this man taught you when it comes to what we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks, because I think it's important, man, that we really give him his proper due.
I think for the main things that he taught me as far as being black, like I said, being black now is looked down upon, looked as ugly. Like I said, he's taught me as far as to be proud of myself, not to be cocky, not to be arrogant, but to be black is proud. So what, I have big lips, so what, I have a big nose, so what, I have little ears. This is who I am, and this is beautiful in Marcus Garvey's way. Also, a leadership, being strong, fighting back against oppression. Try your best to fight back. Yeah, there are going to be stitches that are going to sneak in and do you dirty, but sometimes you can't always think about that. You have to also just keep fighting through it. Those are the main two. I would say our looks as African Americans, fighting back against the system, and those are the main two. I would say looks and fighting back against the system were the main two that I've gravitated towards his teachings.
Yeah, he taught me that our people are in a bad way because of racism, because of all the things that has been put on us, and that if we don't fight back, then we're going to become people that we really shouldn't be. And then we're going to not love ourselves, and we're going to despise who we are. We're going to try to be like other people. We're going to give them all our money. We're going to give them all our time. We're going to give them our resources, and we're going to be used until we leave this earth. So he taught me to be careful and to make sure that I love my people so much that I would go to bat for them, no matter who likes me or not. It's not about that. I'm not trying to win a popularity contest. And as you can see, he definitely wasn't trying to win a popularity contest, because many blacks, many African Americans turned against this man. In fact, they were some of the reasons that this man was taken down and sent to prison for 2 years, and then ended up going to Britain, where he died, London, England, where he died. So my hat go off to this brother, because if he could just see today where we are from where he was, I don't think he would be happy, Chazz. I don't think he would be happy, because we always like to have, we've seen so many movies, we always like to say somebody lived happily ever after, because we've been to movies so many times, and the boy gets the girl and all of this stuff at the end. But Chazz, I don't think our leaders would be happy with us, man. I'm talking about all of them. They wouldn't be happy with us. Although we talk about them, they would say we need to do a better job. So I'm encouraging those brothers and sisters who watch this broadcast to do some more research, to learn lessons and apply them to your life, not just with Marcus Garvey, because all the lessons they taught us were very, very important. Other people too as well, but those lessons are timely, man. They help us in our social condition. And I think we should all just give them at least that much respect where we're going to do that.
Yeah. Spot on. Brother Ray Fires in here. He says Marcus Garvey is the father of Black independence.
Yeah, he really was, Chazz. So we got about 3 minutes, and I know we've talked a lot tonight, but again, we definitely thank all of y'all for tuning into this broadcast. We get silly sometimes, but for the most part, we really appreciate you guys coming out and listening to the broadcast and learning from what we're talking about. And we just want you to apply that to your own life, as we apply it to our lives, because we're not talking to you, we're talking to ourselves. And this brother Marcus Garvey is a wonderful man. Chazz, I think we should just kind of end on a beautiful note to say to our people that we want y'all to know that if you can, please do more research and learn for yourself, so that you can help your family and you can help our people, because we're the ones who really are in desperate need of help. Yeah. And I think we should have these serious discussions more. Now, next week, as we come back, it may be fun, but the point of the matter is, we're going to leave this earth, Chazz, and we have to be ready, man. We really do. And all the things we're doing now, it's not going to help us. So as we close tonight, and I turn it over to Chazz for the final words, just remember, brothers and sisters, that Marcus Garvey, he did a lot. He did a whole lot with what he had. And you can do it as well, as so can I. So please, tell your children about the importance of Marcus Garvey. Put these lessons in your life. Be proud of who you are. Love yourself. And always try to be better. Because right now, we're in a world of trouble. If you can really see and open your eyes as to what's going on, nothing else is going to matter. But we definitely have to make sure that we teach the truth when it comes to our leaders and even in our own lives.
I want to say I appreciate you for having me on. We appreciate the viewers, Brother Ray, Sister Barbara, Nuji, Sister Marie, all the guys, ladies who viewed it. We appreciate you for taking your time. But tonight was a serious message about Marcus Garvey. Most of his teachings were all profound, and what they basically taught about, they still apply to us to this day. Like I said a little bit earlier, fight back against the system. Trying to become stronger, independent leaders. Don't always rely on somebody else. Be your own boss. Be your own leader. And that's not cocky. That's just because you don't want some man or woman to have power over you, because at any second, at any day, they can wake up and just flip on you and say, you know what? I don't like that brother. He's, whatever. I'm not feeling him. Now you stuck. Now, if you were your own boss or your own independent owner, you wouldn't have to worry about that. And that's what Brother Marcus Garvey was teaching us. Stop relying on them. Also about our appearance. I keep stressing on that. There's nothing wrong. How we look is how we look. So what if you got big ears? So what if you got a big forehead? That's the way the way that you were created. Be happy and proud about that. And I hate to say this, but it's just sad that brother had 2 strokes, man. It's just definitely terrible. Man, I wish he didn't have to go out like that. But I appreciate everyone who tuned in. You guys are always welcome to watch this on the playback, whoever didn't see it. And I hope to see you guys next week. Take care, everybody.